Sensing the threat of burnout, Melanie and her family sought quiet on the coast she once called home, and where today her creativity and deep appreciation for community thrive. But first, we'll visit Deirdre, whose inherited land became a passion project for her and her late husband Hans. Now, it's her mission to maintain the life he built for them on the water. Water, deep, flowing, mysterious, ever-changing yet constant, the inspiration of artists and adventurers. It's the foundation of life. We are drawn to it, to watch it, listen to it, immerse ourselves, and for those who choose, to live beside it.
Water's always been a part of my life. I am a retired teacher, writer, educator, poet, and various other occupations. I grew up here in this area. My brothers and sisters inherited a number of acres, and we each chose our lot, and my sister was the first to build, and I was the second to build. And then some of them left, and I'm the sole survivor now. Hans and I, my late husband, built this house over a course of a few years. We loved the whole area, and we just walked around and found this spot and said, this one's ours. We camped out here in the winter and in the spring and all year round. We were living elsewhere, and then we would camp out and continue to work on it until we moved in. Just being here taught us where things were and where nature was and what we wanted to take advantage of in terms of the nature. I helped a great deal with building the house, did insulation and shingling and landscaping and all kinds of other things. We determined how close we could be to the water to take in the view, so we blocked off a certain rectangle, and that was the start. The following spring, we started building the second floor and the outside walls, the roof beams, and shingled it in. And by December, we just put in plywood to cover the window spaces. And the following spring, we put in the windows and did more interior work. We're west-facing this way. Realized at one point that we had beautiful sunsets. So instead of putting fireplace, we decided to have a wood stove so we could take advantage of both the fire and the sunset. I lived along the eastern shore here, grew up by the water, lived in many places near the water. I love the water. I write about the water. Amazing how prevalent it is in people's lives. It's very powerful. Even though it's a small house, it feels like a big house. Come in the entrance, you will see our spiral staircase, which my husband designed and implemented. You know, wood is flat, but a spiral staircase goes around and around, so he softened the wood, used a lot of clamps, and turned it into a spiral. So the spiral staircase, I think, is one of the focal points of the entrance. The room I connect with most is this open concept dining room, living room, kitchen. The kitchen window looks out onto the harbor. It's where, of course, I cook my meals, entertain friends. I have my wood stove on when it's cooler, and you can participate when you're cooking. You can talk to your guests and be a part of the party. My husband and I used to have a lot of get-togethers here. Now I have friends over. There's French doors in front of the dining room that look out onto our deck, and the deck looks out onto the water. Next to the dining room is the living room with plants, scrounged furniture, carved birds, artwork from my family, from my friends. My husband built this bookcase, which is behind me. As a student, in those years, I had books with me, other books in storage. So now I have them in one place, and that's just a treasure for me. Our living room also includes a wood stove, which is the heart of the house. This house has a turret. In the living room, there is a set of 3 windows which rise up into the turret. go up the spiral staircase into the bedroom where the 3 windows look out over the water. You lie in bed and you can hear the water lapping against the shoreline. What used to be Hans's studios, it's now a guest bedroom. On the other end of the house is my studio where I write, where I have my books that are to do with writing. Across the hall is my bathroom, tiled completely. I can lie in my old cast iron bathtub and look out over the garden. My hands carved the window trim to make it look like Greek Ionic columns. Every place in this house reminds me of Hans. I have photographs of him around the room. He worked on every piece of wood in this house and every piece of artwork. Every piece of him is in this house. It's a lovely place to live. I love the fact that we have lots of windows. I still talk about it as we, I notice, even though my husband is not here, but he's very much here. That's why I say we, because he's part of this house. Come down the lane, turn right onto our driveway. You will find our garden, a stone wall, which Hans made. We also have a garage that we built. The garden has changed much over the years. Every season is different, of course. This summer was rainy. Other seasons have been dry, but we have a lot of flowers in the garden. Forsythia, witch hazel, brown-eyed Susans. Before that, we had a lot of the wild Queen Anne's lace blooming. I tried to minimize the lawn to keep it natural as much as possible, and it's less work. We planted some trees. There's a lot of spruce trees on the property, deciduous trees, and we have a deck on the front overlooking the water so that we can sit out there, take in the view over a glass of wine, and that's lovely after supper. There are mosquitoes occasionally, but if there's a little bit of a breeze, keeps the mosquitoes away. 7 o'clock is the mosquito hour. You don't go out at that time of the day. But there's a breeze. You can survive the rest of the time. There's pathways in the garden that now are getting more overgrown. It's always changing. And, the garden's been in existence now for 40 years. We made a little beach area. We do have kayaks. We made them ourselves. We kayak in the harbor, but I also go down to the beach and swim. I used to swim with my golden retriever, Molly. She was a retriever, and she'd dive down, retrieve a rock, and take it up to the beach. And I was surprised the first time I saw her dive down, head down completely in the water to find this rock. And I just laughed at her. We would swim out to the big rock at the end of the spit, and she would get up onto the rock, catch her breath, and then we'd swim back to shore and she'd do her little rock trick. She had a good long life, loved the nature around here. We loved her, and she's still with me here. What I love about the exterior of this house is that the waterscape is always changing. There could be fog one morning and you wouldn't see the opposite shore. Then it clears and it's beautiful, calm. 15 minutes later, the breeze might come up and there's just silver on the water. There's always something to look at. I love so many things about living by the water. It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's natural. I can swim out here, I can kayak. This summer I was able to get in the water so quickly. The water was so warm, so it was just a pleasure. The harbor is my front yard. I'm writing. I'm working on prose about my time in Japan. I lived in Japan for 3 years where I taught English as a second language. My memoir of my time in Iceland. I went to a writer's retreat in Iceland. I'm working on marketing other books of poetry. I enjoy watching the birds and the wildlife around, so there's no shortage of things to do. My friends and family love this place. We used to have a lot of family gatherings here when my family was nearby. My sister used to live next door. My parents lived about 10 minutes away when they were alive. I have friends come in quite often. I just had neighbors in for dinner last night. I have friends in tomorrow for book club. So I quite often entertain, and it's great. And they love this house, I think. They love our view. Every time they come in, they say, "Oh, I love this house." So it always makes me feel good. When I build a fire, When I need to restock my wood supply, some of the wood supply is in here already. I have a little corner behind me where we have some wood, and I have it organized in a certain way so that I know where my kindling is, I know where the small pieces of wood are, and then I know the big pieces of wood that I'll put on the fire at the end of the night. I need to do some repairs on the house. I have a leak over my kitchen. We've had some heavy rains, so I do need to fix that. General maintenance of the yard and the house. It'll be hard if I ever have to leave this place. They'll probably drag me out. But on the other hand, I know that I'll have to leave someday. Some of my friends around the area have had to leave the community. They also lived in older houses and knew that they wanted to live in something warmer. I'm going to stay here as long as I can, let me tell you. It's an interesting question why people like living by the water. I've always wondered that. Why do people love going to the beach? I think the beach and the water just supply us with a view of the infinite, that it's always changing, it's always powerful. It's quite amazing, actually, when you really think about it. Water is powerful. Concept of home means comfort, ease, peace, quiet, tranquility. It means family. It means my loved ones. That's what it means.
I arrived here in '86 with my mother and my brother. We were both minors at the time, so we were easily sponsored in as immigrants by my sister. Philippines is surrounded by water. I always wanted to be near the ocean, the beautiful waves, the coastal lifestyle. I was really into fashion back then, and then I said I'm gonna go to Montreal for school, no water. But I was always gravitating, always going by the ocean. I moved back and did my design for a few years. Richard and I met, so then I followed him in Toronto, and then we always talked about living by the ocean.
That was our goal, yeah.
A lot of things happened, and then my mother passed away. So we actually purchased this home as a second home.
Growing up as a young fella, my parents used to come to this very beach, and we'd have clam bakes and corn boils, and I never expected I would ever live right next to that spot that I hung out as a little boy. So it was fate from the moment I set foot on the property. So we bought it, she didn't see it. I just sent her pictures. When she came with the kids, she came ahead of me because I was back still working in Vancouver. She was here for 2 weeks, and when I came out, that's when she dropped the news that I'm not going back to Vancouver.
We were sipping wine out there, and I said, I'm not going back to Vancouver. I'm staying here with the kids, so you go do what you have to do in Vancouver, but I'm staying here.
So the kids literally never seen their house again. At 4 and 6, that was it. We went back, packed everything up, and the kids never came back.
I was pretty mad at you guys for a while for that.
Were you?
Yeah.
Eventually, our neighbors sold their place to us. So now we have this little mini island by the ocean.
So when you walk into the home, you walk into the kitchen, which we modernized with new flooring and updated appliances. Everything is there that you need to feel at home. And next we come into the dining area, where we hope that all of our guests can enjoy their meal and also still get the feel of the ocean and the water. Then you walk into the great room area. The focus is still the ocean with a nice comfortable wood stove, especially for those cooler fall, winter, and spring nights. It's really cozy with that fire going. Really gives you a great ambiance. There's no blinds or anything because we never cover up the beautiful view that you have coming in. The primary bedroom is equipped with an old-fashioned tub and a full washroom there. Then we have 2 other bedrooms that are cozy and comfortable.
I really love the great room here, partly because it's more the lounge area. It's enjoyable just to read, playing board games.
The best view is probably this area here on this couch because you have the beautiful fire going and then you're looking out to the point. This morning, you guys should have seen it. It was incredible. There was mist coming in and the sun was coming out. Also, we have amazing sunsets. The reflections, incredible with the water. And also a full moon. It is epic. Everything here was not intimate. I added plants and I added recycled items. I brought them in, repainted. I wanted to bring in beachy flavor, but I didn't want it to be very contrived. I wanted it to be very organic. So most of the things in here are handmade or I made or I painted.
All the paintings she's done personally. She has her personal touch done between the artwork, the way she's decorated it, and the actual paintings that she's done.
Aw, thanks, honey. This property is so unique because we are backing into the provincial park, and it's such a beautiful park. Lots of people in the neighborhood and from the city love to walk their dogs because you can go around the loop, around the point. There's another secret beach, we call it, on the other side. Even if it's foggy or sunny, it's still such a gorgeous skyline.
One thing that I really like is the fact that the backyard is all fenced off, very private. So our guests can come here and enjoy themselves in the privacy of the backyard. A beautiful spot, especially in the front garden, is a beautiful garden that Melanie has painstakingly worked on. Come into the backyard with the fire pit, an outdoor shower, and of course the hot tub, which everyone loves. And we also have a nice set of stairs right into the water that you can go paddleboarding with anytime you want.
A lot of people comment on the waves.
Well, the sound of the waves, especially I really noticed it when I was still commuting back and forth. I'd be gone for 2 weeks and I never heard the sound of the waves until I drove into the driveway and got out of the car and I could hear those waves and it's like, I'm home.
We do travel quite a bit, and as soon as you come down that loop and around, it's like, yes, I'm home.
In the morning, if I'm feeling like it, I just stand out in front of the deck and I look over the lake into the ocean. In the summer, you can just walk to the beach. Here definitely made me feel more at home. There's more things we could do as a family here because in Vancouver, it was mostly just my mother taking care of me and my father was pretty busy with stuff.
All we did was work, and here we got to spend time boogie boarding on the beach.
Yeah.
Snorkeling. Now he can free dive up to 20 feet deep, jet ski and paddleboard.
Yeah. Nature, he can go walk around the woods like every day after school, rain or shine, like sleet. I took them for a walk after school to take the dog Koa for a walk. Even my family in Vancouver said, why would you go back? You know, they didn't understand it because they said, you know, you had it made in Vancouver. But really, I feel like my mother's passing, it just clicked. We both had corporate jobs and Aiden had a nanny. So I barely saw the children because we both worked. Us moving here, I could stay at home with them and be with them. That was a really amazing change for us as a family.
So one of our big things is the hot tub. It actually brought us together to get the kids away from the distractions of video games or the internet. Pretty much every day, whether it was at first thing in the morning or after school in the evening, the 4 of us would get in that hot tub and we'd have a conversation for 45 minutes, of which we probably wouldn't be able to do in the house with all the distractions. Communicate a lot of things that otherwise we probably wouldn't have.
We really enjoy stand-up paddleboarding. Sometimes when there's 3 of us, 2 of us go on one paddleboard and one of us goes on the other one, and we're kind of like teasing each other, seeing if we're gonna fall off or not.
And whenever we have guests, we always take them for a walk along the beach and into the woods, and it's always something they really cherish.
Kind of looks like a little secret garden, and it opens right into the ocean. It's really beautiful. It's one of my favorite spots.
Koa loves to go on walks. Whenever we even bring it up or we're holding the leash, Koa goes wild and he's like, are we going? Are we going? And so we bring him along, and by the end of the walk, he gets really muddy. We sometimes like to take out our fishing rods and toss the bobs out into the lake and see what we can catch. There's not many fish in there, but we do bring up some eels sometimes, and maybe some wild kelp.
We're divers, so I actually taught the kids how to snorkel. Caden snorkeled with us a few years ago, Kilana and I, and he spotted this big head kind of hiding behind a rock, and he's like, "Mama, look down there," and it was a huge eel.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
But we see lobster
Yeah.
all the time, right off the
Squid.
beach. My friends are always asking me, "Hey, let's go camping." I'm like, "Why would I leave? I have everything right here, including the fire pit." Any summer night or spring or fall for that matter, that especially on the weekend, we'll have a nice fire going, and Caden might play his violin, and we'll have a sing-along and marshmallow roast. Again, brings us as a family together. Around Christmas time, we'll invite all the neighbors, have a big fire, do hot chocolate and food and chili, marshmallow roast, all that to encapsulate the fire. For us, it brings the whole community together.
The number one thing I notice, I think, when coming home is the family time that we never really got. My mother was still living with us too, and she had Parkinson's. So it was a very crazy time for all of us. And then when she passed on, I felt like I need to come home. I need to feel what it was like back then when it was so quiet and peaceful.
It brought us closer together, not only just a family, but as a couple, because we had a lot more time to spend with each other. Immediate plans are we just want to enjoy life as much as we can with each other and the ocean.
The end goal here is a retirement plan. So we're thinking we would keep these 2 properties for the children, rent them all out, and we live across the street and go into the Philippines and hang out there for 3 months out of the year.
This will always be our home.
Yes.
The plan is to go south or go to the Philippines in the winter, but we'll always have a place here.
Because we reared the children here for most of their young life, it's always going to be a very special place in our heart. My home is wherever they're going to be. So Richard, our daughter Kilana, our son Caden, wherever that is, that's our home.
I'd say home is defined by us and our experiences in that home. It really shapes us as the people we're going to be.
Whether nestled alongside a riverbank or perched high above a distressed ocean, living on the shore has its perks. But beautiful views are only the beginning. The sights, sounds and sensations of the water are constant in their impact, improving moods, perspectives and lives. To exist and grow on its edge is extraordinary, an experience made even sweeter when shared with the people we love.
Yeah, maybe you should come home. You've been saying it for so long.